Welcome to Live with Lindsay.
Welcome to Live with Lindsay, episode 11, Don't Cut the Cucumber. Okay, let me explain. I'm going to share with you not one of my most fabulous moments. I am a passionate woman, and that can be very awesome when things are like, I got something on my mind and I need to execute. It's like, oh, I'm passionate. If I believe in something, I'm going all out. But then there's this other side of it. It's like the blessing and the curse. And it is, I'm a little spicy. Oh, you guys, I have to bridle my little temper and my words. Yes. Okay. So my husband and I, God bless the man, we're having dinner. Okay. And he is gone for days at a time with his work. And so we're all together and enjoying conversation. Kids are laughing. It's a good time. And the baby who's in the high chair is like, she wants her cucumber. I'm like, cool. So I go and I chop it. It's like in thirds. And it literally looks like a pickle. If you guys have been to Disney, like the big pickle, but it's just a cucumber. And she likes to eat it like in like a one raw form. Always does it when daddy's not home, apparently. Okay. And so I give it to her and then I'm eating. And apparently she wasn't eating it. She wasn't eating it like that. So I like look up and I see her cucumbers sliced. And so I look at my husband, Chris. You guys got to meet him in season 1. And I was like, did you cut the cucumbers? And he's like, well, yeah, she wasn't eating it. And I was like, well, I'm not lazy. You think I'm lazy? And he just looked at me and was like, I never said you were lazy. And I looked at him and I'm like, well, I just want, like, she likes to eat it normally like that. And he's like, well, babe, she wasn't eating it like that. And I'm like, okay, well, I would have cut them. And he just was like, whoa, what is going on? Okay. Best part is like, obviously I had to simmer down. The girls are there and they're like, what is going on with Mom? You okay? And I just had to like, just Lindsay, eat, just eat. And I had to wait till like later on that night. He's like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm sorry, it's not about the cut cucumber, which it never is, right? It's me projecting this, like, you think I'm lazy? Like, you're not, and it was, I missed him, right? Like, he's not there every single night, and so sometimes he doesn't know all the little nuances, and so I'm like, well, he probably thinks I'm just being lazy, and I'm not. I just, like, she likes it that way, and it spiraled. My friends, this is being human, okay? So just so you know, when you become a Christian, it's not like I am above, I walk on water, let clouds just float beside me. I mean, I would love that. It's just not real, okay? It's not real. We make mistakes. We can have hot tempers. We can say things we don't mean. It's human nature, which is, thank God for grace, right? And we talked it out. Like, I love him. But it's just so funny. My friends, I'm doing this episode on marriage because I had a lot of you actually reach out after Chris and I did 4 episodes together. And we shared a lot of our story. And we shared a lot realness of how so different we are, but how God has used us to come together and create such a beautiful dynamic because we allow one another to be ourselves. I'm not trying to make Chris be this like extrovert, like crazy activator like me, as just as much as he's not trying to make me like this regimen, like more, hey, I'm like, I can assess the place more, like we're different, but God uses them and we encourage it. But it's taken years to appreciate the differences and for them to work together. Okay. A book that I would highly recommend any of you, if you're like, gosh, my marriage has been really tough, it's called Sacred. And it talks about how marriage is, we are called to be holy in marriage. It's not always going to be happy. And our world teaches us it's supposed to be happy. It's fairy tale. It's this. And of course, there's joy in marriage. You guys, it is beautiful. Marriage is a gift, but it also does take work. And you're 2 flawed human beings that are continuously choosing one another. And it's also a mirror a lot of times. Like they mirror, it's like a reflection piece of yourself. Like, oh, wow, I got some stuff to work on. Okay, I'm not so perfect. And a lot of times we sit here and we pray, Lord, change my husband. He needs something. And God's like, girl, you need the change. Like, it's you, daughter. Like, your heart needs a little bit of revamping here. And so I wanted to share with you as I read this article, and it was these 9 different types of wives, or different types of ways as wives we can manipulate or act in such a way that is so dishonoring, okay? And I'm sure none of you fall into this, but I will tell you I absolutely do, okay? And I'm gonna walk you through each of them. So the first one, it's the leaky faucet, okay? This is someone who just constantly complains, just like that drip, the leaky faucet, okay? Number 2 is the trial lawyer. So this is me, I'll be real. Leaky faucet, I'm not a huge complainer. I can, but like the trial lawyer, my husband would be like, hands down, yes. This is you overtalk your husband. My friends, I'm not proud of this, but even talking about the darn cucumber, it's like, I gotta tell him a theory and I gotta tell him my philosophy behind what I'm feeling. And he's just like, can I talk? Can I get a word in? You know? And so I have had to learn, and I've gotten way better, but I have to bridle my tongue and my energy, like, Lindsay, sit back. And he's always like, you're talking and you're just thinking about the next thing that you're gonna say. And I'm like, nuh-uh. And I'm like, uh-huh. You know, like, so it's good to be self-aware. Number 3 is the blame game, okay? This is where you're just constantly blaming. Like, this is your fault. We live in this house because you decided to leave that job. Our children are like just blaming. Not good. Not a good look, ladies. Okay, number 4 is clue. It's mind reading. Babe, what do you want to eat? I don't know. Well, babe, what do you want to eat? Like chicken. Okay, let's go to Chick-fil-A. Well, no. I was like, I want to like sit down for dinner. And he's like, well, then tell me where you want to go, right? So it's the clue. It's like, oh, well, I would love these new earrings. They look like they're so cute. And the guy's like, do you want this for your birthday? Like, what is, like, where are we at? You know, like, be specific. They want to know what's going on in our head, right? And vice versa. The next one is smoke signals. I'm guilty of this. I'm not proud of it. Smoke signals. Chris will be like, hey, babe, you need help in the kitchen? No, I'm fine, babe. I'm fine. And I am brushing these pots and pans, and that he can hear that I am cleaning up after dinner. Instead of being like, yeah, babe, can you come help me? Like, I'm really tired. Can you come help me? And can I just go take a shower right now? Simple as that. But we get on our high horses. Smoke signals suck, but I have to admit I do it sometimes. And then I just feel like a jerk after. It's never worth it, guys. 6 is waterworks. Just cry to get your way. Like, they say, what do you mean? Just constantly crying, okay? Number 7 is angling, okay? This is something I actually hear a lot in coaching. Women withhold sex to get their way. Well, you're not getting any of that. I like cringe when I hear that. I don't struggle with this. I'm not trying to shame you who do, but I do cringe when I hear women like, oh no, if he doesn't do that, then he's not getting any. And I'm just like, really? We're going to use it as like a weapon? It's like, that's like, no, like God created us to make love and intimacy and connect physically for enjoyment and pleasure, not to be used, to be angled to get our way and manipulate, right? Next one is guilt trip. So it's that always like, just always disappointed. Like, oh gosh, I wish you would have done this, you know, or if you could have only, like the guilt, it is not healthy, okay? Number 9 is the performance trap. Oh, well, the Smiths over there, they go to Disney World. They've gone a few times. We've never been. Like, why aren't you performing like everyone else? It's more of that keeping up with the Jones mentality. Okay. These are different ways, ladies, that God will, and we've talked about this, like there's a men and women and we're different, and we can build a divisiveness in our own home by doing these certain, I just gave you 9 examples of ways that we're manipulative, okay? And I'm not going over all men stuff because I'm not a man, okay? But I'm sharing with you as women, this is why it's so important that we are in prayer over our husbands, over our marriages. I also got a question like, Linz, how do we know who's supposed to lead in the house? I truly believe, and I believe it's biblical, the man is the leader of the household, okay? Well, what happens when my husband's not a Christian? I believe you get on your knees and you pray, you continue to pray for your husband, but now you pray for a double portion of anointing over you and your babies, and you take him to church, and you just do what you gotta do. You don't need to guilt him to go with you. You pray he will, and hopefully by him seeing you as the example, he'll want to follow. But that shaming or guilt or the waterworks, my friends, that's not the heart of God. God is the ultimate gentleman. He literally sent his son to die that we may choose him. You know how many people do not choose him and yet he died for them? That's radical love. So we, in that same spirit, need to give our spouses the space to grow with the Lord at their pace. And that is hard. I'm not saying that's easy. It is hard. But some verses that I want to leave with you is Ephesians 4:15. Okay? And this is where you want to speak truth in love, which is, hey, if something hurts your feelings, instead of getting mad about the cucumber, right? It's like, hey, babe, you said something earlier and it really hurt my feelings. Like, instead of just having this passive aggressive tone all day. It's not worth it, okay? The next one is Proverbs 13:3, and this is about bridling our tongue, okay? So that we speak out goodness, and if it's not good, maybe zip it until you're ready to say it in a way that has that Ephesians 4:15 of like speaking truth in love. And then lastly is Ephesians 5:33, and it's talking all about a wife and a man and the love and respect that we also crave and need from one another. And how if you are in a place where you're like, there is no love and respect in my home, I need that, and he's not changing, then stop worrying about him. You get on your knees. He will not go to counseling. Why don't you go? You go. Take it to the Lord. Say, this is where I'm at. Find a Christian, godly therapist or counselor and say, hey, this is what I'm going through. Surround yourself. The enemy wants you to be isolated and fixated on all the wrong things that he's doing. What the Lord wants you to do is be in community with other people who are praying over you and your husband, praying for restoration, and also praying, God, what do I do next? I'm going to do everything in my power to be a faithful wife, to honor and love and respect my husband, and please work on his heart. Because too many times we try to take control. We try to manipulate, like we even talked earlier in this season with Abraham and Sarah. She wanted to manipulate. We're supposed to have a son. Okay, let's get Hagar. Let's manipulate it. And then Ishmael comes. Now we have a whole new religion of Muslims, and like I said, they're studying the Quran, and there is Abraham there, but it peels off into a completely different religion where Isaac then is birthed through, and there's the Bible, there's Christianity, New and Old Testament, okay? So be careful, because the more and more we try to manipulate, there are consequences, and some of those consequences can be so damaging. Go to the Lord, ask him to lead you in love. Love you.